First of all, implement Microsoft 365 Copilot. We know that before 1.5 years ago, Microsoft launched their AI service, which is Copilot. We have different types of Copilots. We have Copilot for finance, we have Copilot for sales, Copilot for service, Copilot for Azure, Copilot for Fabric, Copilot for GitHub, Copilot for Power Platform, Security Copilot we have. The same way we have Microsoft 365 Copilot. The Copilot that integrates and that works with Microsoft 365 applications and services. Word, Excel, PowerPoint, Teams, Outlook, OneNote, OneDrive, SharePoint, Whiteboard. This is nothing but Microsoft 365 Copilot. And whenever you want to purchase and whenever you want to deploy Copilot for Microsoft 365, what should be the prerequisites? First of all, you need to deploy latest cloud connected versions of Microsoft 365 applications for enterprise. Of course, Copilot, it is an add-on license. It works with base license. So you need to have your applications deployed. Then only Copilot will work with those applications. Ensure all users have a Microsoft Entra account to authenticate. Yes, of course, it is cloud application. And like any other cloud application, Outlook, Teams, Excel, PowerPoint, we need to have credentials, Entra account to authenticate ourselves. Third prerequisite is consider provisioning 1 TB OneDrive to every user since Copilot file handling requires OneDrive. Yes, because it is cloud application and it will use whenever you want to attach files in your prompt where that file should be. That should be on the cloud as well, on OneDrive. Okay, this is also one of the prerequisites. Next prerequisite that we have, install the new Outlook for Windows to enable Copilot integration. Okay. Implement Microsoft Teams desktop or web application to enable Copilot within Teams chat, meetings and channels. Mobile only users, they will have limited functionality. After that, we have users' devices must be on either current channel or monthly enterprise channel to access Microsoft 365 Copilot features. That makes sense because we know that we are receiving updates in Copilot from Microsoft 365 almost every day. Those are very frequent. So if my Copilot is updated, why not devices and applications that it's working with? So your update channel should be set on either current channel or monthly enterprise channel. You can manage that from applications admin center. Okay. Ensure all users have cloud-based Microsoft 365 licenses rather than legacy on-premises licenses. So these are the prerequisites whenever you want to implement and deploy Microsoft 365 Copilot within your organization. What are the best practices as you prepare to launch Microsoft 365 Copilot? First of all, now it's an AI solution and we have worked with multiple customers, multiple clients, right? And what I've noticed is that some people are very excited about Copilot. Some people are very shy about Copilot. They're very confused. Some people are confused. Some people are scared. But whenever you want to implement Copilot within your organization, first of all, you have to identify early adopters who are tech savvy or who are very excited to learn new technologies, right? So first of all, you will identify early adopters and individuals to pilot Microsoft 365 Copilot and provide feedback. Second, once Copilot is implemented, monitor usage and feedback to track how extensively users are employing it across your organization. You get to see Copilot dashboard, right? Different options are there. In Microsoft 365 Admin Center, we have usage analytics, right? And you can monitor the usage of Copilot for Microsoft 365, how your users are using it, their feedbacks, their surveys. You can use employee feedback to help improve user training. You can upskill your users. You can train them. You can educate them. Use Microsoft 365 permission model to help ensure the right users or groups have the right access to the right content. Now, this is very important. Why? Because now so many people are there, security admins are there, compliance admins are there, Microsoft 365 admins, and they are very, what I would say, they are very scared of their data. They should be, right? Because they don't know how Copilot is going to handle their data. Because Copilot will have access to their confidential data, their emails, their chat messages, their files, OneDrive files, their project files, right? So they come up with one question that is it secure? Yes, Copilot for Microsoft 365 is very secure. It is based on Microsoft data privacy, data security, data compliance approach. So Microsoft guarantees your data security. Okay. Copilot will never overexpose your data. It will not overshare your data with unauthorized persons. Okay. So it is very secure. Now, what about permissions, roles? Copilot for Microsoft 365, it follows permission model for Microsoft 365 because it works with Microsoft 365 application. So the level of access you will have, you will be able to use Copilot for Microsoft 365. So as an admin, it's your duty that you are providing enough access to your end users, not more than that. What is required, only provide that access, not more than that. Do not provide excess access. Okay, because it follows permission model for Microsoft 365. So you have to make sure that your permissions will be accurate for Teams, SharePoint, OneDrive, Outlook, Teams. After that, next thing, it says implement security and compliance tools within Microsoft 365 and Azure ecosystems to tighten permissions, implement just enough access, and prevent data oversharing. Just before few minutes, I told you about do not give excess access to anyone. Only give access that is required to perform or accomplish any task. That is something we call it as just enough access. Okay, it is one of the principles of zero trust security approach. Then how to prepare your data for searches in Microsoft 365 Copilot. We know that we have data and that data is stored in Microsoft Graph and your Copilot will have access to that data. Okay, so you have huge amount of data. So how Copilot will search for that data, right? It uses semantic index, which is another different concept. So how you're going to prepare for your data? First of all, clean out redundant, outdated, and trivial content to ensure users only work with current and relevant content. Makes sense? Self-explanatory, right? Organize content into logical folders and sites to help Copilot infer relationships and relevance. Again, self-explanatory. Eliminate redundant drafts and outdated versions of files to reduce confusion and contradictions for Copilot. Tag files with keywords to help Copilot categorize, search, and recommend content. Standardize file names to enable Copilot to better grasp content. These are the data preparation tips for your admins, security admins, compliance admins. Then data governance. What are the best practices are there? First of all, assign a data steward to oversee preparation and continue maintaining quality. Document your data policies and practices related to Microsoft 365 and Microsoft 365 Copilot utilization. Draft a comprehensive data governance policy that codifies rules for restricted data, anonymization procedures, stewardship rules, employee training requirements, access authorization procedures, monitoring practices, data compliance. Okay. And how to protect your Microsoft 365 Copilot data with Microsoft 365 security tools. Now, why exactly we are discussing this? In last 3 days, we are discussing security services. We talked about Defender, different types of Defenders are there. Defender for Office 365, Defender for Identity, Defender for Endpoint, Defender for Cloud Application, right? Which is a part of Defender XDR. Also, we talked about Compliance Portal, how we manage the compliance of our data. Okay, in that we talked about sensitivity labels, DLP policies, insider risk management. Now, let's assume you have your family and you have your home. Okay, in that your family members are there, and out of nowhere or suddenly a guest comes to your home. Okay, And what do you want? That person should be following all the rules. So first of all, whenever any guest is uh, about to come to our home, what is the first thing that we do? We clean our house, we organize our house, right? Okay. And after that, we set up some rules so that that person will also follow these rules and regulations of our house. Same goes with this. Your house is nothing but your tenant. Your family members are nothing but your applications, Microsoft 365 applications. And now we have a new guest. That guest is no one but Microsoft 365 Copilot. So if you want Microsoft 365 Copilot follow your rules and regulation within your organization, first of all, you have to set them. From where we can set this up? From Defender portal, from Purview portal. So first of all, you clean up your data, get rid of unwanted data, manage your permissions, manage your roles, have permission models, and then deploy Copilot for Microsoft 365. Okay, that's why we talk about data protection, data security, data compliance. So Microsoft tools for securing data. First of all, what we can have? Microsoft Purview Information Protection. Second, sensitivity labels, conditional access policies, PIM, privileged identity management, SharePoint site access reviews, Microsoft Graph connectors and plugins. These are the tools and these are the services. We have talked about almost all the services, but graph connectors and plugins, which we are going to discuss today. Then what are the best practices to prevent oversharing? First of all, conduct an access review for sites, documents, emails, and other content to identify overexposed assets. We need to understand who has which access and till when and why. Okay, we need to have access reviews to understand, because if you have a real big organization, big enterprise, you have hundreds of users, hundreds of employees you have, and you have assigned them with different permissions, different access, different admin roles. You need to make sure that they will not have access or excess access, right? So in order to review that, we can have access review. Second, tighten permissions on overexposed assets so that only authorized users have access. Makes sense. Validate that access restrictions don't impede with any user's ability to do their jobs. Test search functionality to confirm users can only access data relevant to their roles. Okay, this is nothing but we are preparing our organization. We are using security tools. Then assign your Microsoft 365 licenses. Microsoft 365, it is an add-on product. Add-on product as in you can use on top of something. You need to have base licenses. There is a list of base licenses and you can use Microsoft 365 Copilot license with that applications or with those licenses. Enabling Copilot, it is as easy as assigning licenses to selected users. Of course, because it is a license. You don't need to set up any kind of extra configuration for that. Simply purchase the license and assign it the way we assign other licenses from Microsoft 365 Admin Center. Users that you assign Microsoft 365 Copilot licenses to must also have an appropriate Microsoft 365 license assigned to them, of course, because we are going to use Copilot with applications, Microsoft 365 applications. With the help of add-on, we will have access to Copilot. But from where these applications are coming into picture? Because we have license, we have these applications deployed, right? Users must have one of the following base licenses to be eligible for Microsoft 365 licenses. Either you should have Microsoft 365 E3, E5, Office 365 E3, E5, Microsoft 365 Business Standard or Business Premium, Microsoft 365 A3 or A5, or Office 365 A3 or A5 for faculty. So what is the first thing? Review Microsoft 365 Copilot usage, data and trends to optimize number of licenses. Second, remind users to use Copilot to maximize value from licenses. Monitor adoption and usage of Microsoft 365 Copilot licenses. Now we have to extend Microsoft 365 Copilot. how we can extend. First of all, what is extensibility? Let's assume you do have a license, Microsoft 365 Copilot. Okay, and your users are using this license. And whatever your organization requirement is there, that's getting fulfilled. You have very simple infrastructure, simple applications are there, and your users are using Copilot for Microsoft 365. Okay, your work is getting done. But you have complex infrastructure, and now your organization requirements are very high. You want to extend your Copilot so that it can perform and it can achieve high capabilities. We will have enhanced productivity. So in that scenario, we have Copilot extensibility. Extensibility is nothing but the ability to customize and extend Microsoft 365 Copilot with more knowledge and skills. Okay, how to do this? What are the tools? This is something we are going to discuss about. First of all, developers can extend Microsoft 365 Copilot to build Copilot agents to bring custom knowledge, skills, and process automation into Microsoft 365 Copilot, tailoring it to the unique needs of their customers. Second, IT admins can configure appropriate Copilot connectors in the Microsoft 365 Admin Center and the Power Platform Admin Center to expand knowledge available to all users in the tenant. Third, these connectors respect the data access limitations from the knowledge source itself. So right now we have two concepts, two new concepts are in the picture. First of all, connectors and plugins. So if I talk about graph connectors, okay, right now we call this as Copilot connectors. Okay. So in the context of Copilot for Microsoft 365, a Microsoft graph connector, it allows you to bring external data, may it be from third party, may it be from your on-premises sources, into Microsoft Search and Copilot experiences. So your Copilot can access, reason over, and respond using that data. That's nothing but graph connector. So we have Microsoft graph connectors, we have Power Platform connectors for integrating external services and data sources. Microsoft graph connectors are a powerful tool for extending the reach of Microsoft 365 Copilot. In simple terms, in simple language, bridge, and they allow you to bring in unstructured third-party data from outside your Microsoft 365 environment and make it available to Copilot. So basically, this enables Copilot to provide more comprehensive and accurate answers by grounding its responses in wide range of your organization's content, not just what's stored in Microsoft 365. So basically, Copilot for Microsoft 365 is there. It works with your Microsoft 365 application. Now you want your Copilot work with third-party application, other data sources. So you connect your Copilot with these data sources. It will bring that data within your organization. That's nothing but connector. Okay. And from where we can manage connectors. This is my Microsoft 365 Admin Center. Okay. And if you can notice over here, I get to see Copilot option. And within that, I get to see agents and connectors option. So if I navigate you quickly on agents and connectors, I should be able to see connectors. Okay. Within that, it says manage Copilot connectors. Then we have connectors. First of all, we have gallery. Okay. Ready-made connectors. So you can see recommended connectors, file share, Google, Jira Cloud, ServiceNow, GitHub. It means your Copilot can connect with these services which are third party to Microsoft. Okay. Then we have Azure DevOps. We have Trello, Miro, we have Ignite, Jira Cloud. Okay. I can see n number of connectors are there. Confluence Cloud we have, Guru we have, Salesforce knowledge we have, ServiceNow knowledge we have, right? Salesforce CRM, Azure SQL, CSV, GitHub. Okay. These are nothing but these are the connectors, and you can see your connection. You can add a connection over here. right? And you can set up the connector. Also, you should be able to see this. In settings option, if I quickly navigate to search and intelligence, where I get to see data sources. Again, the same thing, you can manage your Copilot connectors. So graph connectors, we call this as Copilot connectors now. Microsoft has rebranded this. So right now we call this as Copilot connector. Okay, so I can have this. Second option, we have plugins. Now, what is plugin? Basically, in the context of Copilot for Microsoft 365, a plugin, it is a tool that extends Copilot capabilities by allowing it to interact with external applications and services. So it's not like Graph Connector. It may sound like Graph Connector, but it's very different than Graph Connector. Okay, in Graph Connector or in Copilot Connector, you do not get read and write access. You only get read access. In plugin, you get read and write access, where you can perform the task. So unlike Microsoft Graph connectors, which primarily inject and index data for a unified search experience, plugins enable Copilot to take action and retrieve real-time data directly from third-party systems. So Microsoft Graph connectors are about bringing your data to Copilot, and plugins are about bringing Copilot's capabilities to your application. This is the difference between Copilot and this is the difference between Copilot connectors and plugins. So you can have API plugins, message extensions, Copilot Studio actions we can have. Then we have custom engine agents. You can create these agents. What are the agents we are going to talk about in some time? We have declarative agents. Again, these are the customized Microsoft 365 Copilot with specific domains. What are the examples of each extensibility type? This is extensibility options. It means we are extending our Copilot to have advanced features, enhanced capabilities, enhanced productivity, additional capabilities. So what are the examples are there? First of all, declarative agents, a real-time customer support agent that integrates with an order management system to provide live order updates to customers. Then we have connectors. IT admins can configure graph connectors in the Microsoft 365 Admin Center to index data from sources like intranet websites, Azure services, ServiceNow, Salesforce, and Confluence. Third-party applications are there. Plugins are there. Microsoft Teams message extensions can be used as plugins to interact with a web service through buttons and forms in Teams, Outlook, Microsoft 365 application clients. Then we have custom engine agents. In that, automate complex multi-step workflows including proactive triggers, long-running tasks, and asynchronous processing. This is nothing but these are the extensibility options for Microsoft 365 Copilot. Now let's talk about adoption, because it's a very new technology and this is a hot technology these days. So many organizations they are about to adopt, and many of them have already adopted Microsoft 365 Copilot services. So what is the first thing? What should be your approach whenever you want to deploy Copilot for Microsoft 365 within your organization? This is the diagram. This is the flow. These are the phases. 4 phases are there for your adoption roadmap. First of all, we have get ready. Whenever we do anything, we say, all right, we want to have this application, this service within our environment. What is the first thing that we do? First of all, we do the planning. We check the prerequisites. Are we fulfilling the prerequisites? So you prepare your business for AI. First of all, review your security and data settings. Second, be intentional with seat assignments, as in who will be the people to whom you are going to assign first Copilot licenses. You need to make sure about it. Then we have third step, create an AI council. So basically a kind of a team who will take care of your adoption process, who will keep an eye or who will monitor the task and activities related to this adoption. Step 4, help people build new work habits, because you have to adapt the changes now. Earlier, we used to have traditional work model, manual work model. Right now, we have automation, we have modern work style, right? Second phase, onboard and engage, where we actually onboard our employees and users. We assign them with the licenses, we educate them, we upskill them, we train them. All right. So basically, user enablement is there, so that you can create a Copilot user community. You can identify champions to lead the way, make ongoing training the standard. Third phase, we have deliver impact. Now let's assume we are prepared for Copilot for Microsoft 365. We deploy Copilot for Microsoft 365 within our organization. We onboarded and engaged our users so that they're using, and Copilot is working as expected. Now, what is the next thing? We have to deliver the impact. We have to measure the success. If Copilot for Microsoft 365 is working as expected or not, is it succeeded or not? So you can track progress and business results. So there are usage analytics are there in Microsoft 365 Admin Center. Also, you get to see this on Copilot dashboard. If you do have Viva license and if you have admin access, in that you get to see different tabs are there: readiness, uh, adoption, impact, learning tab is there. Okay, so you can quantify impact with Microsoft Copilot dashboard, meet with your AI council regularly, get the feedback. Okay, publicly celebrate successes. It is a part of third phase, which is deliver impact. Then we have fourth phase. Let's assume our Copilot for Microsoft 365 is working as expected. Now, what is the next thing? We want to achieve more. We want to add more extra capabilities to this. We want to extend this. So we have the fourth phase, extend and optimize. Building agents into your business. Now we will set up our own Copilot agents as per our organization requirement. So it says tailor Copilot to your business and optimize with role-based agents. Okay, to perform the automation. Next topic that we have, manage secure user access in Microsoft 365. Within that, we have conditional access policy. What exactly is conditional access policy? Conditional access policy is nothing but it's a policy that will manage your authentication, your access. If you can access particular applications and resources, it will work real time. So it will collect the signals, who is the user, what is the location, what is the IP address, which network that person is using, device is compliant or not, which application that person is trying to access. And it will also check real-time risk, sign-in risk, user risk, insider risk management. All right. And according to that, whatever conditions that you have set up, it will follow that. It will take the action. We have two different types of actions. Either it can allow the access, it can block the access or deny the access. If it allows access, you have to fulfill MFA, multi-factor authentication, or you can reset your password. Okay, and then you can have access to your applications and data. This is nothing but conditional access policy. If you notice its name, these are the policies which will decide the access based on conditions. You set up the conditions. If this is the user, if this is the location, if this is the IP address, if this is the network, application, risk level, then either allow the access or block the access. From where we can set it up? We can set it up from Azure portal. Okay, or Entra ID, to be very specific. Conditional access policy is a very powerful policy, okay, which will give you very granular level of control. Okay, so if I quickly navigate you to conditional access, which is a part of Microsoft Entra ID, you should be able to see this dashboard, and on this dashboard you should be able to see this information: create policy, monitor policies, right? So either you can set up your policy from scratch, or you can use ready-made templates, right? So if I quickly navigate you to policies, it will show you how many policies I have. Right now, I do not have a single policy. So I can go ahead and I can set up my own policy. I can click on new policy, And within this new policy, I can name this anything that will make sense to you. After that, we have assignments. I can assign or I can add users and groups to whom this policy will be applicable. So either I can include all users or I can include selected users. Users will be who will be guest, external users, people with particular directory roles, some selected users or groups. I can select this or I can exclude people from this policy. Okay. So I can create this policy. These are assignments. After that, I can have target resources, user actions, authentication context. Earlier, we used to call this as cloud applications. Right now, it is rebranded as resources. Okay, so you can select this none, all resources, select resources, include. So you can select your applications, your resources, right? Then we have network, which is a new condition. Okay, and you can configure this. So if you configure this, you get to see these options. If that person is using any network or location, all trusted networks and locations, all compliant network locations, selected networks and locations. This is conditional access policy, all right? Okay, network. Then we have conditions. If you notice, different types of conditions are there. User risk, sign-in risk, insider risk, device platforms, locations, client application, filter for device, authentication flows. Microsoft will calculate this risk real time. Okay. And according to these conditions, we have access controls. We have two different access control, block access or grant access. If I say I want to grant access, on top of that, I can ask customer to fulfill MFA requirement or require authentication strength, require device to be marked as compliant. It has to be Microsoft Intra hybrid joint device. Right? Different conditions are there. You can set up as per your organization requirement or you can block the access. Right? And then we have session controls. Okay. So this is nothing but conditional access policy. You can create it from scratch. You can enable your policy. You can turn on your policy right away. It will be implemented from this moment. You can create your policy, but keep it on off mode and you can turn on this later. Or you can have in report only mode, kind of testing mode, kind of simulation mode, right? So this is nothing but this is conditional access policy, and either you can create it from scratch or you can use ready-made templates. If I quickly show you what all templates are available, we do have these templates, and these are categorized as like this: secure foundation, zero trust, remote work, protect admins, emerging threats. Okay, so these are the ready-made templates. For example, I want my admins performing MFA. So I can directly select this template and I can say review and create. Okay, so for different purposes, we have different templates. I can see all the templates over here. Okay, this is nothing but conditional access policy. So this is nothing but it's very important. You can manage who can access what, when, how, and using which device, using which network. So these signals are there, which are collected real time, and Microsoft will analyze the signals, and according to that, your access will be determined. It will be decided if it should be allowed or if it should be blocked, right? So we do have this conditional access policy. It is based on signals, user identity, location, application, risk level, network, device. After that, we have security defaults. If you remember, we have talked about this. Security defaults. This is nothing but this is the ready-made built-in protection by Microsoft. So it contains 5 policies or 5 settings are there. Okay. And you can simply go ahead or navigate to Microsoft Intra ID. And within Microsoft Intra ID, you should be able to see properties. And within properties, you should be able to see security defaults right here. Simple feature. You can manage the security defaults only one option is there. Either you can enable this or you can disable this. Right now, these are disabled. One thing to notice about the security defaults is that it does not work with conditional access policy. At one time, you can have either security defaults turned on or a conditional access policy turned on. You can you cannot use both of them together because these are mutually exclusive. So what should be the reason? Let's say here my security default says that Microsoft Intra multi-factor authentication for all users. So all users, they should be authenticating themselves using multi-factor authentication. And if I'm using conditional access policy, which is customized one, and in that I say no need of multi-factor authentication, so it will be a conflict between these two policies. So that's why we do not use this together. You cannot use this.